know that you're a miracle? Mikey, do you know you are a miracle? Does everybody know Mikey? This is Mikey right here. This is Mikey. Mikey is a miracle. And so is Aubrey. And so is Val. And so is Janet. And so is Zach. Did you know you're a miracle? What's the definition of a miracle? Adele, I can see you thinking. What's the definition of a miracle? Something that, Val? Yeah, something amazing that's unexplained.
Something wonderful or good that happens that can't be explained through natural rules of law.
Yeah, that's a great definition. Can't be explained through natural rules of law, but it's something phenomenal, something fantastic. And that's what each one of you are. And today I'm going to ask you I give you a gift. I'm going to ask for a gift in return. And the gift that I'm going to ask from you is an open heart. The gift I'm going to ask from you is to, in this space, feel. This is a safe place, and this is where we're going to feel. And let me put in perspective how much of a miracle you are. Do you know how incredible it is that you are alive today? How incredible it is. You have a chance of being alive today, right here in this seat. Just take a guess. How much? What's the statistic? You have a 1 in what chance? A 1 in, who's got a guess?
Few hundred trillion.
1 in 400,000? Not even close. 1 in 400 trillion chance that you were born. 1 in 400 trillion. The number trillion is even hard to understand. Let's put it in further perspective. Lightning, you have a 1 in 15,000 chance of being hit by lightning. Did you know that? 1 in 15,000. Your ancestors, 150,000 of your ancestors had to meet on a special night and hold hands to make you today. 150,000 of them. You will have a chance of being bitten by a shark, a 1 in 3.7 million chance, right? To win the lottery? How about that? A 1 in 292 million. To put that in perspective to how amazing it is that you were born and what a miracle you are, if that were to equal the statistics of the chance you're alive today, you would have to win that same lottery 1.36 million times. That's how special you are. The chance that you were born is astronomical. It's out of this world. The grains of sand on Earth is only 7.8 trillion. 1 in 400 trillion. That's how special you are. You are a miracle. You are a miracle. And I ask you to give me a gift of being vulnerable and being willing to feel. I want you to turn to your neighbor. I want you to look in their eyes. And I want you to say, you are a miracle. One of you guys right there. Did you feel it? There's a very special reason you're here on earth. There's a very special reason. And it's just yours. It's no one else's. It is just yours. You are a miracle. And, oh, we got our mic back. Okay. Sorry, we started a little bit early. I hope that's all right.
Well, that was recorded. So.
Sorry, everybody. See my backside.
We're on
And we're back. So let me ask you a question. Who would you say was the most impactful president that the United States has ever had? Olivia. Abraham Lincoln, why?
Because he changed the laws and he changed the country.
He changed the laws, he changed the country. We had a big war over what Abraham Lincoln was willing to do, right? Yeah. And not only did he change our laws in our country, but he actually changed the entire world. The entire world became changed because of what happened here. But remember what Henry talked about? Remember how he had us raise our hands? Not only are we special, but we're filled with emotions. And Abraham Lincoln, I would argue, it's a close race between George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, but I'm giving it to Lincoln because that he was the most important president we've ever had. But did you know that Abraham Lincoln struggled from severe depression? In 1860, when Abraham Lincoln was 51, he entered a convention center not too unlike this, where they had banners and streamers on the ceiling, and they were throwing their hats in the air and their canes, and they were so loud and there was so much ruckus, the decorations actually fell from the ceiling and onto the stage. They were so excited to have Abraham Lincoln as their candidate. And the following day, the head of the Republican committee went back into the hall. There was a man sitting in a seat, probably about where Mikey was. And he went up to him and he said, "Abraham, what are you doing here?" And he said, "I'm not well." He was suffering a severe bout of depression. The day after, they were making so much noise and cheering and stomping and throwing their hats in the sky that the decorations fell down off the stage. It was that boisterous. He said, "I'm not well." Think about that. Abraham Lincoln, arguably our greatest president of all time, he was not well. He suffered severe, what some people would say is clinical depression. But you know what? He kept going through his trials. He kept pushing through, and even though he had that, he changed the world. He changed the world with depression. In spite of his depression, he changed the world. He didn't give up. He said, "I can make a difference." And that's what he did. He said, "I can make a difference." And not only did it make a difference for a few people, it made a difference for a country, it made a difference for a world, it made a difference for my life personally. What Abraham did. And for that, I'm so grateful. So, we're going to do a little exercise. I want you to stand up if you've ever felt alone. Ever in your whole life. Have you ever felt alone? Guess what? Take a look around. Take a look around. You're not alone. You're not alone in feeling alone. Stay standing if you've lost an important relationship with someone in the last year. Whether it's a death, maybe a divorce, maybe a breakup, maybe a suicide. Take a look around. You're not alone. You're not alone. Stay standing or stand back up if you felt like you weren't enough. Have you ever felt like you weren't enough? We might need to raise our hands with that one too. Have you ever felt like you're not enough? Guess what? You're not alone. Look around you. This is what it means to be human. How about if you didn't feel like you fit in? Anyone ever feel like you didn't fit in? Yeah. Last week I felt like I didn't fit in. Absolutely. Thank you. The truth is, you are a miracle. And you are going to experience feelings. You're going to experience some possibly really hard feelings. Some difficult feelings to process, difficult feelings to understand. That's why we're here today. I love seeing you guys here. I love it. I'm so excited that you're here because it means you care enough about you. And that's beautiful. So, like I said, I've got a gift for everyone. Does everyone have an envelope? Is there anybody that doesn't have an envelope? Raise your hand. Do you guys have an envelope? Okay, these guys need an envelope. Envelope? Yeah, gotta get an envelope over here. Okay. Not yet. I know you're all excited. But not yet. Hold on. It's so exciting. What's inside? Okay, we got just a couple more envelopes to give out. Oh, I think there's, yep, 2 back there and 1 over here. Okay, are you ready? Everybody got an envelope with a gift in it? All right, go ahead and open your envelopes. Oh, that was not the gift. I don't know what just happened there. That was not the gift. But this is the gift. Congratulations, you are all $100 richer. Congratulations. You came to the right session. Yes, you definitely came to the right session. Who is stoked right now? Who is so stoked? What are you going to spend your money on? The movies? That's a lot of movies. That's awesome. What are you going to spend your money on? Oh, you're going to spend on your kids' trip? I see a little confusion on some faces. Tell me about that. What's this confusion I see in your face? Aren't you excited that you're $100 richer?
Does the Secret Service know about this?
Let's not tell the Secret Service. Why aren't you jumping up and down, screaming and hollering like, who was it that won the $10 gift card back there? He was like, yeah! Why aren't you excited? Oh, it's fake. Wait, it's fake? You're sure? How do you know it's fake? It says, in prop we trust on the back. Really? On all of them? Does everybody have the same? Is there anybody that has anything different?
I have a real one.
You have a real one? Come join me on stage. Come on up. All right, let's give her a hand. Tell me your name.
Abigail.
Abigail, are you excited?
Yeah.
How excited are you?
Really excited, but I've never had a $100 bill.
Never had a $100 bill. That is awesome. Okay, I need one other person to come up. Who's willing to come join me? Yes, right there. Yep. Come on up. Come on up. Yep, bring your 100. Okay. Okay, come on up. You can be on this side. You can be on this side. Tell me your name.
Paxton.
Paxton and Abigail. Yeah, look at that smile. She can't stop grinning. Paxton, where's your smile, man? You got 100 too, right?
Yeah.
You did? Are you sure?
But it's fake. It's fake. It's a fake money.
It's a fake 100. Would you say it's a counterfeit?
Yeah. Yes, it's prop. Prop money.
This is the same stuff they use in the movies. So when you see money flying all over the city, this is it right here. So how much is that worth?
I don't know, a cent.
It's a little less than that.
Yeah.
So can you go spend that on something?
No, you'll probably get arrested.
Yes, now. Secret Service is keeping on this. Yeah, you'll probably get arrested if you try to do that. How many of you have worked at a store where you had to use the pen or scan it? Anybody? Yeah? Because why?
Because people can't buy things with fake money.
Would you accept a counterfeit? No. You wouldn't. Would you try and spin this? Like, are you going to go out and try and get a new skateboard or... No way, that's not... Tell me why not.
Because they probably, I don't know, kick me out of the stores.
They might take you and, yep, just like that. Yep. That's right. Thanks, Paxton. All right, Abigail, let's talk about you. You're excited, right?
Yeah, very.
Very? Okay. Tell me what you're thinking about spending this $100 on.
Nothing, I'm gonna save it.
You're gonna save it. Wow. Who's her mom? That is awesome. Dad, we got Dad over here. Right on. Fiscally responsible. You are excited, I can tell. The smile on your face doesn't disappear. This is fantastic. So, how much is that worth?
$100?
$100, right?
Yeah.
No, how much is Paxton's worth?
Less than a cent?
Less than a cent. But they look like each other. Here, come stand over here. Like, hold them up together. Show everybody. Show the same side. Now flip it over. If you guys were looking at these from your seat, from the stage, would you know the difference? Olivia, you would?
That one's greener and that one's like more white.
Yeah. But they're pretty darn close, right?
Yeah.
They're pretty darn close. And this one is worth 100. This one's worth less than a cent. It's not even worth a cent. But they look the same. And they have a lot of the same words on it. And there's this bald guy with long hair in the back. He's kind of got a mullet going on. Don't you think? They look the same, right? And sometimes those counterfeits, we try and actually go spend those. And what happens when we try and spend those?
You get kicked out.
Get kicked out or get put in handcuffs? Absolutely. Okay, thank you, Paxton. Abigail, you stay here for a second. Okay? Are you okay? All right. So, I'm gonna need to borrow your $100. Is that okay? I'll give it back to you, I promise. You're like, oh no. Okay, I promise I'll give it back to you. But can you help me with the microphone? Okay. How much is this worth?
$100.
Okay, here, hold the microphone. Okay, how much is it worth now? It's still worth 100? Wait, are you sure?
Yeah, it is.
Are you sure? Because it doesn't look the same, right? It doesn't act the same.
It doesn't work the same, but it's
It's
still $100.
still $100?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, let me run it one more time. So, I won't crumple it, I promise. Okay, now how much is it? Wait, but it just got stepped on. It's still worth $100? Really? It didn't change. So crumpling, stepping on, it didn't change. Okay, here you go. Now how much is it worth?
$100.
It's still worth $100. But it just got torn.
It's still $100.
It's still $100. Okay, one more time. Oh, there we go. Hang in there, you got this. Don't touch that part. Okay, now how much is it worth? It's still $100. It's still $100. After being crumpled beaten up, after being stomped on, after being torn, after being burned, it's still $100. It is. And guess what? When you get crumpled and beaten up, when you get stepped on, sometimes when things tear your life apart, even when you get burned, your worth doesn't change. And it'll stay infinite. Because that's how much you're worth. Everybody do that again. Sorry for the trauma. Your worth doesn't change. Your worth doesn't change. No matter if you're beaten up, no matter if you're stomped on, no matter if something tears you apart, no matter if you're burned, your worth doesn't change. It doesn't change. $100. It's still worth $100. No matter what, it's still $100. So, because your worth doesn't change, is there times in your life that you feel like you're worth less? Yeah, we all just stood up. Every single one of us just stood up and said, I felt like I'm worth less. Every single one of us. What were you tapping into when you said that? What were you tapping into when you stood up? What was that? Why do these counterfeits come into our lives? Like from the stage, those two bills look the same, right? Why do we allow counterfeits into our lives? At the store, we won't allow counterfeits. We don't do it. So why do we do that in our emotions? Why do we do that in our lives? Why do we say, yep, I'll accept that bill that's worth less than a cent, versus this amazing bill that's worth $100? Oh, her smile's back. Abigail smiles back. Everyone, she's okay. Abigail smiles back. This is so good. Abigail, you were wonderful. Thank you so much. Why do we do that? Why do we let these counterfeits sneak into our lives? Why do we do that? Because we're deceived, yes. And there's something in particular. We go into a state called victimhood. We allow ourselves to be deceived. This is one of the great deceivers, is victimhood. And I shared a little bit earlier about how the last 5 years have been the hardest 5 years of my life. No comparison to the prior years of my life. The last 5 years have been the absolute hardest. And I sat down to lunch with a friend, Jesse Citry, and we were talking about how I'd recently gone through a divorce, and I was telling him all the things that was happening to me. All of these things happening to me, and this happened to me, and that happened to me. And Jesse stopped me. He goes, Curtis, life doesn't happen to you. Life happens for you. And I looked at him and I'm like, what are you talking about? This thing just happened to me, and this happened to me, and this happened to me. And all these atrocities happened to me. He said, no, they don't. They all happened for you. All of these things are for your good. The things you like are for your good, and the things you don't like are really for your good. And all of a sudden, I felt my mind almost like my skull was just opening up and all of this light flooding in to realize that he was right. That everything in my life was for my good. Everything. And I realized that I had been in this state of victimhood. I was being a victim. I was believing this counterfeit bill was worth something when it wasn't. And that day, I stepped out of being a victim and stepped into being a victor. And I realized that that was the only thing that was needed, was to stop thinking that life happened to me, because life doesn't happen to anyone. Life happens for us. Everything that happens right now, what's going on, is happening for you. The thing that happened the other day that really hurt your heart, guess what? That happened for you too. And I know there's a lot of people right now today in these chairs that are hurting. I'm sorry for your hurt. I'm sorry for your pain. It does hurt. And if you can spend just a minute, we're going to just spend 1.5 minutes. I want you to close your eyes. Everybody close your eyes. And I want you to see that pain. I want you to see that pain in your heart and let it hurt. Let it hurt. And then ask, how is this happening for me? How is this happening for me? When you hear the answer, open your eyes. Who'd be willing to share? Would you be willing to share? Come on up. Your pack says that, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. You got a good family.
So why is it happening to me? For me? Why is it happening for me? What came to my mind was to really help my boys in their situations, and their to show them that if I can get through it and I can learn from it, grow from it, I can help them, help others, and pass on, strength, or help give strength to other people when they're going through their
Did you all hear that? That's pretty amazing. Wait 1 second. There's actually a third role. You can live your life in victim. Victim means you're going to blame people and you're going to shame. You're going to blame and shame. That's what victim is all about. Or you can step over into a new lane. You can say, instead of being a victim, I'm going to choose. Today, I'm going to choose to be a victor. And tell me your name. Eric. Or you can do exactly what Eric just did. There's one more lane. Is you can come over here and you can be a vessel. Life can happen to you, life can happen for you, or life can happen through you. That's what Eric's choosing today. Thank you. Thank you. So what are you going to choose? Are you going to choose to be a victim? Are you going to blame other people for your misfortunes, for your pains? Are you going to say, life is happening to me, there's nothing I can do, this all sucks, I hate life? That's victim. Are you going to say, you know what? This is happening for me. I can either learn something, I can gain something, or I can grow through this. This lane, it's called bitter. This lane is called better. And like Eric, there's another lane. It's called blessing. And that's to be a vessel. And I invite you right now, to give up this lane, to say, I'm done being a victim. I'm not going to blame, I'm not going to shame, I'm going to see the blessing in life. I invite you right now to make that decision, to step out of the victim lane and into the victor lane. And when you spend time in the victor lane, then move over again into the vessel lane. And say, not only is this happening for me, but this can happen for others. And you see this guy up here. I love to run. Running is one of the ways that I get out of a lot of emotion. I love just to stamp my cares into the sidewalk and leave them behind me. And that's what running does for me. One day I was running, and there's this great trail by my house, and it goes down to this lake right by my house. It's great for paddleboarding, kayaking, those kind of things. And there's a waterfall that goes down, and the waterfall happened to be running. So I'm like, this is awesome. I'm going to go take a picture. My run wasn't that great of a run. I was, I don't know, about 8:30 a mile at this point, and my leg just felt like wooden stumps. Running like this, and it really wasn't, but that was illustrative. But I was just feeling like, oh man, this is such a slog of a run. And my mile time was 8:30. So I walked down this waterfall, and I'm taking some pictures. I'm what you call a photographer. I run and take pictures at the same time. And so I come down, I'm taking pictures of this waterfall, and there's this bush here, and I brush by the bush, and I felt kind of poke me. And then I take a few more steps, and I'm like, hey, that bush is poking me again. And I look down, and there's a wasp. This guy right here on my leg. And I watch as this stinger goes in a third time. I watch it go in my leg, and I'm like dancing around. I'm like, what's going on? And I said these words out loud. I said, why did you do that to me? Dumb me. Those were the words. Yes, I used those words. And then I stopped. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's this lane. The to me is over here in this lane. I don't want to live in that lane. I'm done with that lane. It's time to move over into the victor lane. And I thought, how is this happening for me? And I realized at that point, when I was dancing around on one leg and trying to swat that thing off my other leg, that my body was just pumping full of adrenaline. Have you ever been stung by a bee? Oh yeah. That adrenaline is just fierce through your body. And I was like, wait a minute. I can either be in this lane, and I can hang my head and be like, ugh, you ruined my run, and I'm going to walk home, and I'm going to think about how painful this is the whole time, and I hate that bee. Or I can come on over here to this lane, and I can say, how did this happen for me? And I'm like, wow, I was slogging, but guess what? My body is pumped full of lots of really good drugs right now. We're talking adrenaline, epinephrine, we got all sorts of good things happening in my brain. And I took off. I just took off running. And my mile time went from 8:30 down to 6:30. My next mile was 2 minutes faster. My legs didn't feel like stumps. They felt like I was a superhero. I'm like, woohoo, Captain America, let's go. Come on, we're going for this. It was awesome. And I did that second lap around the pond, And I hit 6:30, I'm like, this is fantastic. I did another one, almost the same. I was feeling amazing, but I realized I had a great big fat smile on my face as I'm running around this pond, and people are looking at me like, what is this guy so happy about? But the pain was still there. The pain hadn't left. I just decided which lane I was going to put the pain in. And then I got home, and I had an opportunity to write an article for Forbes, and I wrote about this wasp. I wrote an article about this wasp, talking about victim, and vessel. And now over 70,000 people have read that article. And I was able to move over one more time, just like Eric. So are we going to accept the counterfeits? Or are we going to realize that we have a place on this earth? We are a miracle. You are a miracle. Are you a miracle? You are. And then we don't have to swim in this lane. We can be in the victor lane. And the trick is there's these counterfeits that want us to come back. There's these counterfeit emotions that say, hey, 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 look at me. Don't look over there. Look in this lane. Let's stay here. Because if we're victims, we can blame other people, and it's never our fault. We don't have to take any responsibility for ourselves. And these counterfeits are so sneaky. And right now, we're going to figure out how to realize if we're feeling a counterfeit emotion or an authentic emotion. There's 4 criteria. There's 4 criteria to understand this. But first, let's talk about what is the definition of a counterfeit emotion. A counterfeit emotion, it's an emotion that looks, acts, and feels like an authentic emotion, but creates a destructive pattern of disconnection in your life. You disconnect because of these emotions. So that says, what's an authentic emotion? Well, an authentic emotion is one that meets these 4 criteria. This is when you're having a feeling, doesn't matter what the feeling is, ask yourself these 4 things. And you'll notice that they all end in shun. So it's really easy to remember. Mnemonic advice, you will never forget it from this point on. The first one is direction, connection. The first one is connection. And what does this emotion connect me to, or does it disconnect me? Does it connect me to self? Does this emotion say, I am connected to me? Have you ever felt disconnected from yourself? You ever felt disconnected? Yeah? I was yesterday. I was. And probably the day before. There's a little bit of disconnection. Authentic emotion will always connect you to yourself. They'll also connect you to others. This plays true in every single case. Authentic emotions will connect you to yourself, to others, and it connects you to God. And it also connects you to the truth. That's what authentic emotions do. So the first criteria, everybody say it together. What's the first criteria? Connection. Oh, come on. You can do better than that. All right, everybody say it together. First criteria is connection. There we go. The second criteria is direction. Where does this emotion take me? For example, one of the authentic counterfeit pairs is pain and misery. What's the common saying with pain? Let's all say it together. No pain, no gain. Gain. Why? Because pain, an authentic emotion, takes you either forward, upward, or it brings you together. When you cut your finger, how intimately are you connected with your finger? There's a lot of pain there, right? Pain brings us together when we lose someone. That pain brings us together. Well, check out where the counterfeits take us. Who has a guess on where they take us? What's that? Backwards?
Away.
The others? What?
Away.
Hawaii?
Away.
Oh, away. They take us to Hawaii. Just waiting, we're going there. Counterfeit emotions take you back to that emotion. Think about that for a minute. The emotion actually takes you back to that emotion. What is the saying with misery? Misery is the counterfeit of pain. Misery loves company because it has to have more of itself, or else it dies. Counterfeit emotions, they have to feed on themselves. And if you're looking at it from the top, it's a circle, right? You look at it from the top of the circle. If you pull it up in 3D space, it circles, but each time it descends. That's the direction of counterfeit emotions. So, criteria number 1 is connection. Criteria number 2 is direction. So let's take a look at number 3. Number 3 is motivation. What is the motivation behind this emotion? Is the motivation love and surrender? Which love and surrender are meta emotions. They actually flow through other emotions. If it's based in love and surrender, it's probably an authentic emotion. A counterfeit, guess what it's based in? Counterfeit is based in fear and control. Fear also being a meta emotion. So, all right. Corey, what are the 3 we've gone over so far? Come on, give it to us, man. Number 1, connection. Number 2, direction. Number 3, motivation. And finally, the last one is valuation. And this might sound like a big word or term you've not heard. Valuation says, what am I valued at? Does this emotion value me? Does it say that I have divine worth? Is that what this emotion is telling me? Or does it say that I'm worthless? I'm not divine. I have no worth. So, 4 criteria. Number 1. Here we go. Together. Number 1. Connection. Number 2. Direction. Number 3. Motivation. Number 4. Valuation. Nice. Way to go. Good. That's right. These are the 4 criteria. So anytime you're feeling this emotion, ask yourself, does this connect me? Does it connect me to you? Does it connect me to me? Does it connect me to my Creator? Does it connect me to truth? And then ask, where does this emotion take me? Does this take me to a better place? Does it take me to where I want to go? Or does it say, nope, all I'm going to do is spin. All I'm doing is coming right back to myself. Anxiety has to have more anxiety or else it dies. That's where anxiety brings you to, is more of itself. Motivation is that, help me. Do I feel loved and am I surrendered in this? Or is it based in fear and control? And finally, valuation. Does it say, I am divine? That's how you can know which lane you're going to swim in. That's how you can know if you're going to be a victim or victor. That's how you can know if it's Paxton's less than a cent piece of paper or Abigail's very customized $100 bill. So let's actually dive into this. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at these pairings. So we won't go deep into these, but love versus lust. It's easy to know that love is the opposite of hate, but what about the emotion that slides right up to it? Love versus lust. Guilt versus shame. Guilt is so important. Pain versus misery. This one blows people's minds. Nice is actually the counterfeit for kind. Nice is the counterfeit for kind. Loyalty versus enmeshment, or trust versus collusion. Power versus control. Serving versus saving. Joy versus pleasure. One long term, one short term. Determination versus stubbornness, accomplishment, pride, discretion, deception, belonging, fitting in. And the rest of the list. A couple I'll highlight here is empathy versus sympathy. Surrender, again, one of those meta emotions, versus resignation. Concern versus worry. Excitement versus anxiety. And faith versus fear. So let's dive in. Let's dive into one. Oops, wrong button. Here we go. Let's dive into one of these pairs. And the one I want to dive into today is guilt versus shame. You know what? Guilt is getting a really bad rap these days. People are saying online, oh, don't let them guilt you. Oh, it's such a guilt trip. Oh, guilt is a beautiful, beautiful, healthy emotion. It's an important emotion. Do you know what personality types can't feel guilt? Who knows what the 4 personality types? Narcissist is one. Sociopath is another. Keep going. Psychopath is a third. And this one you probably haven't heard of, non-social behavior disorder. Those 4 types of personalities can't feel guilt. Think about if we didn't have guilt in our world. We would all be narcissists and sociopaths. Not a great place to be. Guilt is an important, healthy emotion. Shame, on the other hand, is its counterfeit. Shame puts on the clothing of guilt and wears a mask that says, I am this emotion. But over here, come over here. And if you look at the frequency, Christy talked about frequency. If you look at the frequency of shame is almost the lowest frequency emotion you can feel. Apathy is beneath that. Apathy is the lowest emotion you can feel. Shame is not too far above. What? Guilt. If this is the 0 line right here, this is the line, shame is way down here. Guess where guilt is? Take a guess. Guilt is up here, and we'll talk about why. The Old English origin of the word guilt actually comes from the word gilded, which means to make whole. Guilt isn't about being bad. Guilt says, I did something wrong. Excuse me, this lady. Guilt says, I did something wrong. Shame says, I am wrong. Guilt said I made a mistake. Shame says my whole existence on this planet is a mistake. And let me tell you, it's not. You are a miracle. Your existence on this planet is not a mistake. It's beautiful. Guilt says I did something bad. Shame says I am bad. But they look and act and feel like each other. The root of guilt is actually empathy. And if you look at the scale of frequencies, guilt is not too far below empathy, and empathy is way above the 0 line. Empathy is way above. This is what guilt sounds like. And as I read some of these statements, I want you really to pay attention to how these feel. Pay attention to your heart. I love you. I'm sorry. How does that feel? Guilt says if I did something wrong, I'm going to go to you. I'm going to connect with you and I'm going to make you whole. What do you need? It's such a beautiful statement. Question, what do you need? Listen how shame feels. Again, pay attention to your feelings. I should have been. I shouldn't have been. Henry talked about this. We are shitting ourselves, you guys. And we've got to stop shitting ourselves. Because we should ourselves all day long. That's right, Corey. You gotta stop shitting yourself. We do it. We should ourselves all day long. I should this, I should that. Why? Shame says I'm not worth it. Shame says I'm a fake, I'm an imposter. Shame says I'm not good enough to change. That's what shame says. Do those sound good? Do those feel good? No. Such a difference from what guilt sounds like. Huge difference from what guilt sounds like. Do you see how beautiful guilt is? Do you see how amazing that emotion is? Because guilt connects us. If I do something bad, I get on my knees and I ask the Creator for His forgiveness. Then I come to you and I ask for your forgiveness. And that's how we get out of it. They did a study in Sweden. The results of shame, there's a direct correlation. This study was fascinating. Direct correlation between shame and addiction, drugs, alcohol, sex, depression, bullying, violence, and suicide. That last one hits me because of Jerry. Jerry didn't have it. But he didn't understand the difference between guilt and shame. And in this study from Sweden, they found that guilt was inversely correlated. And that's a big word, I know, especially for kids. That means that guilt was the opposite. Shame said, I'm going to start down this path. Guilt was the way out. You want to get out of addiction? Get into guilt. You want to get out of suicidal ideation? Get into guilt. Because guilt is about making whole. Guilt is about taking your power and taking action. That's what guilt's about. Shame is the opposite. And here's the model. Here's the model. How do you go from shame to guilt? First is you embrace it. You feel it. Okay, guys, this is a part you're not gonna like. Guilt is meant to hurt. It's meant to hurt. So feel it. Let it hurt. Embrace that. Because it hurts. When you do something that you don't like, when you do something that hurts some other person, accepting that responsibility is hard. It hurts. But embrace it. Feel it. Number 2 is take responsibility. Own it. Own the actions. 3 is to rectify or redeem. Make whole. Guilt comes from gilding, which means to make whole. So do it. Make whole. Whether that's yourself that you need to make whole, or that's someone else, spend the time to make whole. Number 4, and this is the part we all get hung up on. Anybody get me on this one? Number 4 is release and surrender. How many times do we do something wrong? We go through the full redemption process, the full rectification process. We make somebody whole, and then we come over here and we're like, nope, stepping I'm here and I'm going to blame myself and I'm going to shame myself. And you know what? They're not just whole. We've gone above and beyond to make that person whole. But I'm just going to sit here and I'm just going to beat myself up all day long. And that's one phenomenal way to know if you're in guilt or if you're in shame. If you're in guilt and you've gone through the first 3 steps, or excuse me, first 4 steps, you've released it. Shame, it is going to grab hold of that so tight and say, no. I am never letting you live this down. That's not guilt. On our list of counterfeit and authentic emotions, there are only 2 that are not meant to be held, but are meant to be felt. Pain and guilt. All of the others are love, joy, surrender. They're meant to be held, but there's 2 that aren't, and that's pain and guilt. They're meant to be felt, and then they're meant to be moved through. That's the whole purpose of pain and guilt, is so that they can take you to a better place. You feel guilt because guilt wants you to be better. Guilt wants you in a better place. Guilt wants you to make whole. That's why you do this. That's why you have these feelings. And if you have gone through these steps and you're still over here just beating the tar out of yourself, that's not guilt. That's shame. It's time to give that up. It's time to stop beating up the beautiful human inside you. It's time to stop. And then once you do that, the final step is you need to tap into your power. You need to remember what a miracle you are, because there's a purpose for you here. Not just in this room. There's a purpose for you here on this earth. So tap into that power. Take back your power. And live in the authentic instead of in the counterfeit. So we've got just a few minutes. And like Henry, I'm feeling like there might be a few questions. Yes.
I was just wondering, can you explain the nice versus kind?
Nice versus kind. Yes. Isn't that one of mine, Lord? It's like, wait a minute. Bambi's best friend told me that if you can't say nothing nice, don't say nothing at all. Well, wait a minute. How is nice the counterfeit kind? Oh, I'm actually doing a workshop. So join my Facebook group. I'm going to be doing a full 21-day workshop that goes deep into nice versus kind. But here's the 1-minute version. The 1-minute version of nice versus kind is that, think about the nice guy. The nice guy is a doormat. The nice guy will never rock the boat. The nice guy doesn't speak his truth or her truth. Kind is willing to lean in. Nice, it leans out, but it does it with a smile. Like, hey, how are you over there? Hey. So, yes, I would love to talk more. Join the Facebook group. Well, wait, where's the Facebook group? Here we go. Scan the QR code. Join the Facebook group.
Can I just say, I have been in that mindset of shifting nice, kind, but it's, I just wanted to say, shifting that nice, kind mindset is a game changer. So I can recommend that, just that series, and I would just look into it. It's huge.
Awesome. Thank you, Drew. Okay, we got time for one more question. Val.
Now, this may be a mistake, it's interesting, shame and guilt. Society has a current situation where we seem to not want to let people go through the guilt process you mentioned without shame. mistakes and shaming them again publicly. It's just an interesting thing that you talked about that. Society now doesn't really understand the difference between shame and guilt. They understand shame and they use it almost as a weapon. It's interesting.
Absolutely. We hear that phrase, you should be ashamed. There's two words that we need to get rid of there, should and be ashamed. No. Feel guilt, make restitution, and then move on. Tap into your power. Thank you so much for saying that, Mel, because, yeah, as parents, as kids, as siblings, it's so easy to shame. It's so easy to shame.
And let others move on.
Yeah. Yes. Not only do we need to give ourselves guilt, but we need to let others work through the guilt process and not shame them. Because if you want to break someone out of those things that we talked about, get them out of shame and into guilt. Get them out of the counterfeits and into the authentic. Don't tell them how bad they are. Don't tell them how worthless they are. Don't tell them what mistakes they did. Say, how can you fix this? Let's get rid of guilt. This is a beautiful place to be. And I've got an amazing example in my life of someone that does that for everyone around them. And every single person is better because of it. So, one more time, I'll invite you to join my Facebook group. Abigail, congratulations. You're awesome. Thank you for joining me on stage. And I'd be happy to talk with anyone after. Thank you.